Most mid-sized EAPs aren't losing because they lack clinical quality. They're losing because the comparison has changed. They're no longer being evaluated against other EAPs. They're being evaluated against large, fully integrated platforms. And those platforms aren't just offering counseling. They're offering ecosystems, technology platforms, care navigation, provider networks, work-life services, data reporting. So when an employer reviews proposals, the question isn't who has the better clinicians. The question becomes, who can solve more problems for my workforce? That's where the gap starts to show. Because large platforms compete on scale. They build everything internally, more services, more tools, more infrastructure. But here's where many mid-sized EAPs go wrong. They assume they need to become that. They start trying to build more services, more systems, more internal capabilities, and that's not a winning strategy. Because trying to outbuild organizations with massive capital and infrastructure is incredibly difficult. But competing doesn't require becoming them. It requires understanding what employers actually care about. Employers are not buying platforms, they're buying outcomes. They want workforce that is stable, employees who are focused, fewer disruptions, easier, faster problem solving. And those outcomes don't require the largest system. They require the right support at the right time. This is where mid-sized EAPs actually have an advantage. They're closer to their clients. They're more flexible. They can adapt faster, and they often have stronger relationships. The issue isn't capability, it's structure. Because most traditional EAP models are built around clinical engagement. They activate when something becomes a mental health issue. But most employee challenges don't start that way. They start earlier. A childcare issue, an aging parent who needs support, a legal or financial situation, a relocation challenge. These are not clinical problems. They're logistical problems. But when they go unresolved, they don't stay that way. They turn into stress, then burnout, then something that requires intervention. Large platforms have already expanded to address this, not instead of childcare, but before it. So the opportunity for mid-sized EAPs isn't to replicate the platform, it's to extend the model. Instead of trying to build everything internally, the smaller, smarter approach is integration. You don't need to build childcare infrastructure. You integrate it. You don't need to build elder care systems. You integrate them. You don't need to create entirely new departments. You expand through specialized partners. This allows you to deliver broader support without massive overhead. And more importantly, it allows you to shift where you engage in the problem life cycle. Instead of showing up at the point of crisis, you show up at the point of friction, when the issue first appears, when it's still manageable, when it hasn't yet affected performance. That's where the real value is created. Not in reacting better, but in starting earlier. At Employee Care, this is exactly where we focus. We help EAPs expand their model by integrating structured work-life services, services that address childcare, elder care, legal and financial issues, relocation, and other real-world challenges employees face every day. So instead of building everything from scratch, EAPs can expand their support immediately. The goal isn't to become large, the goal is to remain competitive in a changing market, because the EAPs that will win are the ones that try to outbuild the largest players. They're the ones that adapt intelligently. If you'd like to learn more, you can visit employeecare.net, because competing in this market isn't about becoming bigger, it's about becoming smarter.